I didn't expect to become a widow at 35. I met Rashid when I was 17 years old. I just hoped we would run into each other on the way to class or at his house party. We finally started dating 5 to 6 years later. We dated for 7 years, all long distance. And we finally got married in the Duke Chapel, a beautiful ceremony. We finally moved to the same city and we were ready. And it was time to start a family. Things were going really well until that April night. He wanted to go to the store to get some snacks. He'd done it several times before, so he walked across the street from our complex, and as he stood in the median, he just disappeared because he never returned home. I was getting mad, so I went outside to go look for him, and then I saw those flashing lights. An officer found me. He escorted me to the back of a police cruiser, and he told me Rashid had been hit by 3 cars. He had been killed in a hit and run. A hit and run? A hit and run was something that it happened to other people. A hit and run was a line I used to say in a story in a late night newscast I anchored. I remember the sky spinning. I remember that ringing sound you hear in movies all the time. It's real. I remember calling my mom and Rashid's mom. I remember making these really big decisions. Where was Rashid going to be buried? Where was I going to live? I remember trying to force myself to breathe when every part of my body wanted to give up. I had to figure out how to keep going. My friends tried to rush me to joy. Be happy, normal Kim again. There was nothing normal about my life anymore. I figured out how to breathe, how to keep going, one moment at a time. When folks would say, "You're young, you'll get married again, it's okay," I wanted to punch them. It's not okay. But I learned they're just trying to shove some joy in my dark life. I worked on hit and run legislation in Florida. I started 2 scholarships, tons of prizes. And then I found my passion pouring into other widows and the bereaved, trying to make sure they knew it was okay to smile. I organized these widow brunches at my home, and I even started putting together these grief gift boxes and sending them to folks. And slowly but surely, I started to breathe and smile. And when I least expected it, God did the one thing I told him not to do. He allowed love to flow into the cracks of my broken heart. He brought me Darian, the kindest, most adorable man who was strong enough to love me and my grief. He moved to the city I moved to escape life and hide away from everyone who was trying to help us. And then COVID, so we got stuck there together. And then a few months later, we just decided to jump the broom. The broom was on our porch. It was amazing. We couldn't have all of our friends and family there, but we invited them all to watch using Zoom. And so we had dozens of loved ones tuning in. And they took all these pictures from all these different angles, and they counted down until we jumped, and it was sunny and just warm. It was a gorgeous day. And my parents brought us some Jamaican jerk chicken, and we had folks bring in some cakes, and oh, we just felt the love and the joy. replacing all of the pain. And then 2 months later, Darian made me a mom. That one thing I never thought I would get to experience. At 40, the doctor said it probably wouldn't happen naturally. Learning how to force myself to live, learning how to choose joy, and actually becoming happy allowed me to connect with those suffering losses I never even imagined. I learned how to teach people to breathe again, to smile. I help people create a roadmap to the after loss, after disappointment, after life knocks you down and you don't know if you have the strength to get back up. You know what? Sometimes that very thing that you thought was going to break you can break you open, allow you to be rebuilt in an incredible manner. But if you need a little help figuring out how to keep going, just call me.